Tonight, Spokane has been rocked by the murder of a one-year-old baby.
22-year-old James Cooley sits in jail charged with murdering his girlfriend's one-year-old baby boy. Police say Cooley killed one-year-old Santiago Two Hearts with his bare hands while babysitting yesterday afternoon. The baby's mother says Santiago was dead in his crib for hours before she came home and made the horrifying discovery. We spoke with the baby's mom this morning. KXLY4's Sally Showman has her story tonight.
Robin, Rebecca McCullough is distraught, as you can imagine. She has been crying all day long. She cried through the entire interview. In fact, I just saw her a few moments ago. She came to get a look at this memorial that's taken shape outside of the apartment building. She was doubled over in front of it. It says, "Rest in peace, Tum Tum." That is Santiago's nickname. She tells me she was running errands yesterday and left Santiago and his 4-year-old brother in a second-floor apartment with her boyfriend, James Cooley. That 4-year-old tells his mom and police he watched Cooley beat his baby brother, and then he says his little brother became ice cold. Now, a warning, this story is disturbing.
I never, ever in my wildest dreams little thought this would happen to my kids.
When Rebecca McCullough left her Hilliard apartment yesterday morning, she thought her 2 boys were in the safe hands of her boyfriend.
His demeanor never gave me the inkling that he was a bad person. He was always happy and never even so much as raised his voice to me or my kids.
James Cooley didn't only raise his voice. Police say he has confessed to beating 1-year-old Santiago to death and then hitting his 4-year-old brother Santana. When McCullough returned home, she immediately noticed the 4-year-old's bruises. Cooley had an explanation.
Right away, before I even stepped in the door, he said that Santana had fell off the couch and he hit his lip.
When Cooley left, McCullough turned on the lights and noticed the extent of her 4-year-old's injuries. She says he had choke marks around his neck, a cut lip, and a bruised cheek.
And I said, "Santana, you have got to tell Mommy the truth. I will not be mad at you. You will not get in trouble if you just tell me the truth. What really happened?" And he said that JR punched him. He threw him on the floor.
At that point, McCullough went to check on 1-year-old Santiago.
I noticed from the doorway I didn't see his stomach moving. His body was like this, but he was covered with his blanket. So I went to the bed and I didn't uncover his face yet, but I put my hand on his belly and it didn't move, so I took the blanket off, and that's when his whole face was just bruised.
Her face was just nothing but a big bruise. Baby's face was. So something, it wasn't just like a little slap. it was just beaten to death.
Family friend Les Prang was there and started CPR.
No air was even getting into the lungs. It was nothing that was happening.
4-year-old Santana explained to police and his mother that James went after Santiago when he was crying in his crib.
And he said he's seen him punch his little brother, and then his little brother turned to ice.
The normally bubbly, smiley baby boy could not be revived. Doctors tell McCullough he had been dead for several hours.
He just was the happiest baby I could ever have. He was the perfect baby.
An autopsy was performed on Santiago this afternoon. Last night, police told us they believe the cause of death was blunt force trauma. If you want to see the full interview with McCullough, go ahead, log on to KXLY.com. We have it posted there. In Hilliard tonight, Sally Showman, KXLY4 HD News.
James Cooley is also suspected of nearly shaking a different baby to death back in May of this year. Investigators say that attack happened at his mother's house in southwest Spokane, and his victims were just children. KXLY4's Jeff Humphrey joins us live at Cooley's mother's house. Jeff.
And Dave, Cooley's mother tells us that her son's violent behavior, a combination of both his mental health problems as well as drug addiction. Police records show even Cooley's own family members have been victims of his abuse. Family members say James Cooley has been on a drug-fed rage since at least 2008. That's when his sister says after Cooley lost a lot of cocaine to the State Patrol in a traffic stop, he stormed into his mother's home here on 14th Avenue. Once inside, his sister called Cooley a crackhead, and he allegedly responded by punching and choking her. Cooley was arrested for second-degree domestic violence, but court documents show the charges were eventually dismissed.
He is a suspect in another child abuse case that we're still investigating that happened in May of this year with another family girlfriend.
More recently, Cooley was suspected of shaking a 6-month-old baby so violently that the child suffered brain damage. The incident also happened at Cooley's mother's house, and Cooley quickly emerged as the most likely culprit.
I was a shaken baby, and I believe the baby is blind, and I don't know if it's any retardation from that, but the baby has not recovered from that, from those injuries.
Major crimes detectives wanted to arrest Cooley back in May, but there were just too many other people who had access to the injured child to press charges against him. Investigators say this morning, once behind bars, Cooley finally admitted his involvement. The detective who worked the case back in May is very upset. Cooley went on to allegedly claim yet another young victim.
Definitely these are tough. Tough on the detectives.
And this afternoon, major crimes detectives announced they'd be filing additional charges against Cooley in connection with that case that left that child blind. Tonight, Cooley is being held in lieu of a $1 million bond. Reporting in West Spokane, Jeff Humphrey, KXLY4.
Often, single moms and parents in general feel they don't have any other options but to let a boyfriend watch their children, and it's not just the case. Amy Swanson, who's the executive director of Vanessa Behan Crisis Nursery, is here, and you guys provide the best option.
We really do, and we want everybody out there, every parent, every caregiver to know that whenever they're at a point where they feel like they can't handle it anymore, call us. We want to be there to help.
And crisis is in your name, the Crisis Nursery, but there doesn't have to always be something that would look like a crisis to everybody else.
I think this is a great example. This mom was off running errands, and while many people might not think of that as a crisis, we would all agree that the outcome of this is a crisis.
Mm-hmm. But you guys can take kids up to what age? Babies to
birth all the way up until they turn 7, and we want families to know that is the hardest age of parenting. Those kids are so needy that anytime a parent needs extra help, a break, has something that they need to do that they can't care for that child, call us. We want to be able to be there to say yes to that family.
And we don't want you to end up in a story like this. Not at all. And it's so easy to do. Amy, thanks for being with us. If you are witnessing a case of child abuse and the child is in immediate danger, of course call 911. If you suspect a case of child abuse, you can call 1-866-END-HARM. That number is 1-866, again, END-HARM, 363-4276. Somebody will answer your call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just call. That's that easy. And again, Amy and her crew is there to help you at Vanessa Behan as well.